Once upon a time, there was a little engine called Edward. He lived in a shed with 5 other engines. They were all bigger than Edward and boasted about it. The driver won't choose you again, they said. He wants big, strong engines like us. Edward had not been out for a long time. He began to feel sad. Just then, the driver and fireman came along to start work. The driver looked at Edward. "Why are you sad?" he asked. "Would you like to come out today?" "Yes, please," said Edward. So the fireman lit the fire and made a nice lot of steam. Then the driver pulled the lever and Edward puffed away. "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Look at me now." The others were very cross at being left behind. Away went Edward to get some coaches. "Be careful, Edward," said the coaches. "Don't bump and bang us about like the other engines do." So Edward came up to the coaches very, very gently, and the shunter fastened the coupling. "Thank you, Edward," said the coaches. "That was kind. We're glad you're taking us today." Then they went to the station where the people were waiting. "Beep, beep," whistled Edward. "Get in quickly, please." So the people got in quickly, and Edward waited happily for the guard to blow his whistle and wave his green flag. He waited and waited. There was no whistle, no green flag. Beep, 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 beep. Where's that guard? Edward was getting anxious. The driver and fireman asked the station master, "Have you seen the guard?" "No," he said. They asked the porter, "Have you seen the guard?" "Yes, last night," said the porter. Edward began to get cross. "Are we ever going to start?" he said. Just then a little boy shouted, "Here he comes!" And there the guard was, running down the hill with his flags in one hand and the sandwich in the other. He ran onto the platform, blew his whistle, and jumped into his van. Edward puffed off. He did have a happy day. All the children ran to wave as he went past, and he made old friends at all the stations. He worked so hard that the driver promised to take him out again next day. "I'm going out again tomorrow," he told the other engines that night in the shed. "What do you think of that?" And he didn't hear what they thought. He was so tired and happy that he fell asleep at once.
Once, an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. It went into a tunnel and squeaked through its funnel and wouldn't come out again. The engine's name is Henry. His driver and fireman argued with him, but he would not move. "The rain will spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes," he said. The guard blew his whistle till he had no more breath and waved his flag till his arms ached, but Henry still stayed in the tunnel and blew steam at him. "I'm not going to spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes for you." Then along came Sir Topham Hatt, the man in charge of all the engines on Sodor. They call him the Fat Controller. "We will pull you out," said the Fat Controller, but Henry only blew steam at him. Everyone pulled except the Fat Controller, because, he said, "my doctor has forbidden me to pull." But still Henry stayed in the tunnel. Then they tried pushing from the other end. The Fat Controller said, 1, 2, 3, push! But he didn't help. "My doctor has forbidden me to push," he said. They pushed and pushed and pushed, but still Henry stayed in the tunnel. At last Thomas came along. The guard waved his red flag and stopped him. Everyone argued with Henry. "Look, it has stopped raining," they said. "Yes, but it will begin again soon," said Henry. "And what would become of my green paint with red stripes then?" Thomas pushed and puffed and pushed as hard as ever he could. Still, Henry stayed in the tunnel. Eventually, even the fat controller gave up. "We shall take away your rails," he said, "and leave you here for always and always and always." They took up the old rails and built a wall in front of him so that Henry couldn't get out of the tunnel anymore. All he could do was watch the trains rushing through the other tunnel. He was very sad because he thought no one would ever see his lovely green paint with red stripes again. As time went on, Edward and Gordon would often pass by. Edward would say, "Peep, peep, hello." And Gordon would say, "Boop, boop, boop, serves you right." Poor Henry had no steam to answer. His fire had gone out. Sudden dirt from the tunnel had spoilt his lovely green paint and red stripes anyway. He wondered if he would ever be allowed to pull trains again. But I think he deserved his punishment. Don't you?
Edward and Gordon were in the shed. "You watch me this afternoon, little Edward," boasted Gordon, "as I rush through with the express. That'll be a splendid sight for you." And he puffed away. Edward went off too to do some shunting. Edward liked shunting. It was fun playing with trucks. I liked shunting too. Pulling the trucks about, bumping them into the sidings, bish, bash, Oh, sorry, I better get back to reading the story. Soon, Edward heard a whistle. Gordon came puffing along, very slowly and very crossly. Instead of nice shining coaches, he was pulling a lot of very dirty coal trucks. "A goods train, a goods train, a goods train," he grumbled. "The shame of it, the shame of it." Edward laughed and went to find some more trucks. But soon a porter came and spoke to the driver. "Gordon can't get up the hill. Will you take Edward and push him, please?" They found Gordon halfway up the hill and very cross. His driver and fireman were talking to him severely. "You're not trying," they told him. "I can't do it," said Gordon. "The noisy trucks hold an engine back so." "We've come to push," said Edward. "No good at all," said Gordon. They brought Gordon's train back to the bottom of the hill, and Edward came up behind the brake van, ready to push. The guard blew his whistle, and they pushed and pulled as hard as they could. "I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it," puffed Gordon. "I will do it, I will do it, I will do it," puffed Edward. Then, almost before he realised it, Gordon found himself at the top of the hill. "I've done it, I've done it, I've done it," he puffed proudly. And he forgot about Edward pushing behind. He didn't wait to say thank you, but ran on very fast. Edward was left behind and couldn't catch up. But the driver and fireman were very pleased with him and gave him a nice long drink of water. "I'll get out my paint tomorrow," said the driver, "and give you a beautiful new coat of blue with red stripes. Then you'll be the smartest engine in the shed." Lovely.
Edward and Gordon often went through the tunnel where Henry was shut up. Edward would say, "Beep, beep, hello," and Gordon would say, "Poop, poop, poop, serves you right." Poor Henry had no steam to answer. His fire had gone out. Soot and dirt from the tunnel roof had spoilt his lovely green paint and red stripes. He was cold and unhappy, and wanted to come out and pull trains too. Gordon always pulled the express. He was proud of being the only engine strong enough to do it. There were many heavy coaches full of important people, like the fat director who had punished Henry. Gordon was seeing how fast he could go. Hurry, 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 he panted. Trickety-trock, 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 said the coaches. Gordon could see Henry's tunnel in front. In a minute he thought, I'll poop, poop, poop at Henry and rush through and out into the open again. Closer and closer he came. He was almost there when, crack, whee! He was in a cloud of steam and going slower and slower. His driver stopped the train. What's happened to me? Asked Gordon. I feel so weak. You've burst your safety valve, said the driver. You can't pull the train anymore. Oh dear, said Gordon. We were going so nicely too. Look at Henry laughing at me. Gordon made a face at Henry and blew smoke at him. Everybody got out, came to see Gordon. Said the fat director. I never liked these big engines, always going wrong. Send for another engine at once. While the guard went to find one, they uncoupled Gordon and ran him on a siding out of the way. The only engine left in the shed was Edward. I'll come and try, he said. Gordon saw him coming. That's no use, he said. Edward can't pull the train. Edward puffed and pulled and pulled and puffed, but he couldn't move the heavy coaches. I told you so, said Gordon rudely. Why not let Henry try? Yes, said the fat director, I will. Will you help pull this train, Henry, he asked. Yes, said Henry at once. So Gordon's driver and fireman lit his fire. Some plate layers broke down the wall and put back the rails. And when he had steam up, Henry puffed out. He was dirty, his boiler was black, and he was covered with cobwebs. Oh, I'm so stiff. Oh, I'm so stiff, he groaned. You better have a run to ease your joints and find a turntable, said the fat director kindly. Henry came back feeling better, and they put him in front. Peep, peep, said Edward, I'm ready. Peep, 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 said Henry, so am I. Pull hard, pull hard, pull hard, puffed Edward. We'll do it, we'll do it, we'll do it, puffed Henry. Pull hard, we'll do it, pull hard, we'll do it, pull hard, we'll do it, they puffed together. The heavy coaches jerked and began to move, slowly at first, then faster and faster. We've done it together, we've done it together, we've done it together, said Edward and Henry. You've done it, hooray, you've done it, hooray, you've done it, hooray, sang the coaches. All the passengers were excited. The fat director leaned out of the window to wave to Edward and Henry, but the train was going so fast that his hat blew off into a field where a goat entered for his tea. They never stopped till they came to the big station at the end of the line. The passengers all got out and said thank you, and the fat director promised Henry a new coat of paint. Would you like blue and red? Yes, please, said Henry. Then I'll be like Edward. Edward and Henry went home quietly, and on their way they helped Gordon back to the shed. All three engines are now great friends. Wasn't Henry pleased when he had his new coat? He's very proud of it, as all good engines are, but he doesn't mind the rain now, because he knows that the best way to keep his paint nice is not to run into tunnels, but to ask his driver to rub it down when the day's work is over.